Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes?
I wanted to make a note here. Ben is the clerk treasurer now,
Yeah.
so he's gonna start running the meetings.
The seed, I guess. You were already rolling. You were rolling.
Yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to let you know that, so. And here's backup.
Well, I read them and that sure looks like what happened. I'll make a motion when you approve them.
I'll second.
Ms. Weaver?
Aye.
Okay. This will move into the financial review.
So about that, our servers were under maintenance all day. We couldn't pull that up for you because we couldn't access our accounting software. So we don't have any reports on its financials.
Next time we'll have a real pile of them.
Yep.
Well, in the last 2 months, I've spent a little bit of money on gear. So it would be like a $4,000 bill from gear. That'll fit right into the budget as is. The repair on the tender, the first installment is $2,700, and it's going back again tomorrow. So that $2,700 has been billed already. I approved it, so that'll be on the financial for this month. That's that. It was just payroll went on again.
What was the total on that tender?
It was $2,700 now. I got it back. And the transmission leaks worse now than when we took it in. So they're gonna take it back, check out the transmission again. And then, I don't know who they had to do the DOT inspection on it, but they never replaced the bad tire on it. I don't know how you could do a whole inspection and not catch that.
Who's doing it?
Meyer up in Cameron.
I think it's been sitting up there several times before.
Yeah, I was there for 2 weeks. So those will be the big items that are impacting the budget. And the payroll did go out, and I not remember what the total payroll was this time.
We'll present it next time, Jared. We'll have that.
You got the floor, I guess.
All right, go back to this then. All right, fire inspection update. He's printed out the spreadsheet. Fire inspections have gone slow last month. The guys have just been busy trying to get their last minute vacations and stuff in. Still continues to be an issue, so I noticed that we have some ordinances here, and I'm glad to see that. Truck replacement, the work on the truck, I left the spot blank there because I didn't have the price until I got the bill yesterday. And that's $27.39. The mentor and mediation team is slowly getting in place. I'm still making a few last minute calls on my surveys, but there has been 2 or 3 very clear choices for people that firefighters want to talk to. So I will be talking to those 2 individuals and putting them in place here within the next week or 2. The improvement plan, on the improvement plan, I just want to make note that I'm still working on my improvement plan, keeping up, trying to improve wherever I can. And one of the ways we're doing that is I did supply Patty with a file with all the passwords that I know of related to the firefighter, the equipment at the firehouse, so the computers and stuff. So if I were to be ill or out of commission again, she would have the authority to give that to one of the assistant chiefs, and they'd have all the passwords we need to do it. And I backed up the hard drive on a USB because we are not networked over there. All these files are on my computer, and I felt like, I'd like to have some kind of data off-site in case something happens. So I will do that. Anytime passwords change, I'll probably just redo the backup.
The stick, yep.
So
Yep.
that seemed to work out pretty good. The parking lot approach was done Saturday. We'll be bringing the trucks back today. The trucks have been up. 2 of the trucks have been up at Scott Lee's garage north of town because we just couldn't back out and get out the back door with no blacktop there. So they dug it up last week, and since then the truck's been sitting up there, and Scott's been pretty good about it. We actually had a call night before last accident, kind of right out in front of their shop. We were on scene like in 60 seconds, so that worked out pretty well. Those trucks will be coming back into town this week, and then on Saturday, because of the congestion and the way this is all laying out, you're gonna see our trucks located at the city garage for the day, and 2 trucks located north at Scott's place for the day. We just don't feel like we're comfortable trying to get out one road, and that's the only road that can go through town. Besides, if you go the river road with a big truck, it feels like it takes forever.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing on Saturday. I will not be there. The assistant chiefs know that, and they're gonna get the trucks out and get them split up. We're gonna make sure they don't get landlocked back here, so if they can't guarantee a route out of here by hopefully using that intersection, we may not participate in the parade with all of our trucks. We'll just use the secondary trucks. The blacktop is done. It came in about 12,500. And it worked out pretty well, I think.
Looks good.
Boy, it really turned out nice. You know, we had a pitch out, and then it pitched up to the road. So there was a valley in our parking lot to make the water run to the side street. Well, now it's all pitched to the curb, straight out, and it's gonna be really nice. This will be the smoothest approach we've had with trucks since we've been here, so. As soon as the blacktop on the road is done, we can use it. Budget, so I think that's a separate deal. We're probably gonna talk budget later.
Yep. I thought so.
Yeah.
So those are my special requests for the budget, and we'll talk about those. Oh, runs, we're up to 421 runs as of when I typed this up on the 12th. We've had 4 since that, so it's been a busy year. First responder calls, we are struggling, motivating the crew to go to first responder calls, and 977, bless their hearts, they've gone to like a full-time staff, but they're only running with 2 people. Where 977 used to be paged like us, so they got more than 2 people. Now they run with just 2 people because they're paid, and they rely on us a lot more for incidental calls, lift assists, things like that. And it's hard to motivate firefighters when we go to emergencies and not just lift assists. So I keep on them, but I know we're having some issues helping out 977 on a hit or miss basis. And I don't know what to do. Hopefully during our salary talk, we can improve salary or something for first responders and maybe address some of that.
How many calls?
421 is at the top of my report. As of 12.
What do you think is structure on that? Doesn't?
Oh, more than that. Probably in the 30s.
Oh, really?
We had a couple house fires now. So.
Yeah, right.
A lot of vehicle fires and a couple tractor fires. So they all get classified as a structure fire because they're actually fire.
Oh, okay. Roadside fire numbers.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
I asked to have it put on there.
Okay.
We are having a really hard time in some of the townships, not just Lincoln, Blackbrook as well, all in a few. I was just wondering how you do your fire numbers. I know when you build a new house up, a new number goes up, but how have we done replacement numbers? Because some of them are really faded and we're having a hard time seeing them. And we see some of these new numbers now with the high vis tape and stuff on, you can see those from a mile. And again, it's not so much in case of a fire because obviously we're going to see smoke or fire. It's the EMS calls we're having a hard time. So we propose, we don't propose anything. We're asking to see if you can come up with a plan to get to the signs that are double-sided and stick out towards the road instead of the old metal ones that are turned sideways, because most of those are faded and gone.
With the labor, $100 a crack.
Is it?
go to zoning right now, and which I did, and just to be a nice guy, I paid the fee, $75 up front, and you might get your number in 8 weeks. That's $75, and then there's $5 for the post. And then if our crew puts it out there, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have to call for a locate, you know, because you gotta drive it in fairly deep. So I guess we gotta figure their labor in on this whole thing too. So it's probably pretty close to $100. Now, if you go over to Charcoal in Clear Lake, you can buy the same sign. And I think the letters, Jeff told me this, that the letters were even 1 inch higher for $40.
And probably post included.
No,
No,
Got a double-sided sign too?
yes.
I think they're more reflective too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen both of them.
So we used to tell people in town of Lincoln that wanted a new sign, you know, that you're pretty much on your own, because we tried to work with zoning on buying a lot of new signs, and there's nothing out there. You'd have to apply for a grant to ever get it. But we were telling people to go up to zoning and get your sign, because they keep a record of who got a new sign, so that if this big grant ever comes about,
so you know who we need them.
we don't double up. Well, now we gave that up. I mean, difference between 40 and 75, we're not even sending them up there anymore. You know, it's, we had a deal worked out because we had a bunch of problems on Hickory Point and South Shore. Numbers were wrong. So we had something where we worked out with zoning where they were gonna pick up part of the tab because they issued the dang numbers to begin with, you know, where they went. So we had a deal worked out, and then COVID hit and the whole thing fell apart. So I don't even know, like Black Brook has got all new signs. How did that come about? Do you know?
No, I don't.
I see brand new sign, Clayton is all new signs.
Right.
We've got people calling us all the time that want their sign replaced, and when we tell them they pay for it, they just say, no, we're not gonna do it.
Yeah. Well, I brought this up a long time ago.
It's getting serious, you know, the signs there are some just unreadable.
Well, a question regarding that. Now, has zoning office got their address straight? We were all going to GIS system by last year. And then you had some on Wapo and some on Big Lake that were fighting that, had lawsuits against it. And I don't know where I guess I haven't looked. Has that been settled?
Well, I haven't heard anything about it.
I don't know if it's done yet or not.
I mean, I don't know why somebody would want to keep an address that doesn't fit the grid, you know?
But the zoning administrator told me when I ordered my sign on, he says, yeah, he says, we check it, it's GPS. And he says, actually, the GPS 2 different ways because of host dwellings and duplexes and this kind of stuff. It's the sign on the driveway and it matches the front door. The GPS you right to the front door of the right apartment, you might say. So,
Well, and that's a good point to make too, because we have several shared private roads.
oh, yeah.
Rabunka. Yeah, I just got a call from them. So they got a whole bunch of signs sitting out on Highway C. So you get down the road and now there's no signs.
Right.
So,
Not to mention your
Put
truck
on the
ran into a
walls,
whole
it's the
bunch of
same.
trees on the way in too.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
do
And then somebody put a 40-foot container box right on the road.
Are their numbers matching the rest of the GIS numbers though?
That I don't know. I just see, and I don't even know, I didn't look into the numbers, but just driving it, I noticed there's a whole bunch of, they plaster them all out by the road, but then we go down the road and there's probably a quarter mile there of driveways. And again, fires are good, not good, easy. It's the EMS calls that are really killing us. I mean, we drive past homes and have to backtrack because signs
Yeah,
are there.
solar calls were the same way, and you
But
don't know
see-
which house it is.
What would happen there, what zoning was doing then is when a house either sold and somebody moved in or they built a new house and they had to issue a new address on like you said Rapumpa, or what's the name, I forget the name of that one, Wallace Drive or any of those. Now, that new one triggered the point where that private road gets renamed as an avenue or a street. And every house number
Oh,
gets.
so when a new one got issued, that's
Yeah.
when that was a street
And
or a
that's
road.
what they sued to stop, because they didn't want their address changed. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, seriously, folks, I mean, who's gonna find,
Rapumpa Drive.
yeah. And the one on the north side of Big Lake, the numbers actually go backwards. They should get bigger as you go either north, south to north.
Yeah.
Or east to west, and they actually go backwards. So,
Can I say something? I'm in Burnett County, in the township that I live in. We got all new signs and we put it on the taxes as a special assessment. We let everybody know that that's what's gonna happen, and we are updating all the signs so they're current, reflective, and that went right on their tax bill.
It's probably the only way to do it.
Yep.
And that's why I'm bringing it up, because you guys gotta do your fiscal planning and stuff too, and
what if a person had a new sign? I mean, did you just make everybody get a new one or charge them for a new one, whether they need it or not, or did they look at?
It went through the change because we were right at that point in time where everything was the old
Okay,
sign.
you know how
And
you
then we
solve
went
that
to-
one?
yeah.
You change the color.
there you go.
I mean,
Really?
everything has to be
Saying,
the same.
we made
yeah.
a policy change, we're going from the red old signs that fade so much to these bright blue ones
The
that they
bright
have
blue,
now,
Yep,
or the green ones.
and ours were red, I think, with the reflective.
I know it would help my younger firefighters to know what town they're in if you all had a different color. Because when we go your way over there, sometimes they put down on my run sheets, town of Alden, and it's actually Blackbrook.
That's
For
what,
us,
that's what they do where we live. Each township, they get different color.
Yeah.
So we happen to be red. But I
So that's
mean,
just some food for thought. We did have a pretty serious call where we were delayed on a cardiac because of that, and we want to get there as soon as we can.
This ought to be interesting if we did that. If it takes 8 weeks to get one sign that I bought. That's common now. Go through zoning and take up to 8 weeks to get a new sign. What happens if you're gonna re-sign the whole town? It'd take you about 5 years, maybe.
You'd have to go through a contract, I would think, right?
Don't even know. I'd probably start with Jericho. I wouldn't even go to zoning.
Right. See if he could do the series of signs and then
Zoning,
hire a couple kids for the summer to put them in.
you know what's happening with zoning, that everybody's coming up with fees to support their own area, it's typical nowadays. It's why my plumbing license cost a fortune.
So I guess I'd like you to take that back to your boards, discuss it and see if there's something that can be done about it, because we want to serve people the best we can, and that just has some issues.
yeah, and that's what we did. The taxes came out, they paid for them. The signs were put in when we could put them in, and the road crew put them in.
And it goes for the city too, you'd be surprised on the city streets how we have to look for a house number. Can't you put a 6-inch house number next to your garage door or something? Similar place on a building so that we know.
That is really bad, some of those.
Well, I know.
They look like they're that high.
Yeah,
Or the little white ones above their door.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna
Well, those
see
are all
that when the
city
lights are out at night.
Those were all city issued at one point.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, that's every house in the city has those little ceramic numbers, 3-inch numbers.
So, yeah, the
Maybe make
city
a
might,
note of that.
might just think about, an ordinance or something. I mean, they can buy their own numbers for the house because everyone wants a little bit number, but
We've got,
you could say contrasting color, 6-inch minimum, something like that, near a garage or a front entry door.
we've got border review coming up, which is kind of handy for this because it's legally we can discuss anything. And the assessor's right there to tell us how many signs.
Yep.
I don't remember what it was. She already told us one time. It was pretty scary.
Yeah.
It's about, I just want to put a sign on any driveway now. It's
what's your population?
4 something.
Yeah, it's a lot. But they're wanting the protection, the taxpayer wants.
Right.
So they,
I mean, we don't have enough brand new signs now that if we did tackle the job, I think we could separate them out. our crew is out there enough, you know, we could probably document where the new signs are.
Save $2 on
Yeah.
it.
Just do like road inspection. and then do it
Yeah.
then.
I don't know how you feel about doing youth, but, you know, I know the city crew always hires youth in the summer. You could hire a crew of 2 youth in your townships to survey every address, and then, you know, sign readable or not. Which ones have new ones?
Okay, anything else on that issue? We'll go into fire inspection ordinances.
No, I did not get one from the other townships, but I provided Amory's with the changes that were discussed. And we have committee of the whole meeting next week. And we will talk about that at that time.
We haven't done anything with it in all that I'm meeting with an attorney on, well, it was Thursday, now it's Friday, on some other issues, and it's one of the things I have on my list. and I was
Yeah.
just
Yep.
included.
Yeah. We discussed it, and it's written up already for the town of Lincoln. Process. And it's pretty cut and dried. You know, the ordinance, which we don't have to match ordinances, simply all we're doing is going to one-time inspection. So the wording doesn't have to match City of Emery or Lincoln necessarily.
Right.
But we were trying to keep the fees the same, and you run a fee schedule, right? Which means that it's not very difficult for you to change those fees. Ours is in an ordinance. It's a mistake we made a long time ago. It's pretty damn tough to undo now.
Yeah, I know we just redid all of our ordinances and yeah, I see what you're saying.
Rick made the comment on the last meeting, you know, that, and I tried to kind of match that we weren't gonna find somebody we weren't gonna charge them for the reinspection, you know.
If they pass it.
Right. And we weren't going to fine them, obviously, if they correct it within the allotted amount of time. So that is all the way I wrote it up, is fire inspections, the forfeiture, you know, it's non-correction in the allotted time, because we figured that the inspector is gonna give them the appropriate amount of time, and it's gonna be different with the violation. How hard it is to do.
Sure. And our inspectors can certainly write that on the document. So that time period would be documented when it's inspected.
So I wrote it up, no fine or costs if correction is made on second inspection. If violation continues, following inspections will cost owner $100 and a forfeiture of $50 a day.
I do too.
That's how Lincoln is so rich.
Do we have a court?
I was just gonna say, who do you take it to enforce it, but
Yeah. you'd have to-
So the other
Lay the
comment
hammer
there
on
was,
I don't know how you can.
if it doesn't pass the second inspection, are you charging for the second inspection if it doesn't pass? Or just any inspections after that? The way it's written.
Now, there's no fine or cost if the correction is made on the second inspection.
Okay, and then the next sentence you said,
If the violation continues, which would be after that, following inspections will cost the owner $100
so you're
each.
not charging until the third inspection.
Technically, yeah. And a forfeiture of $50 per day. That, that is something we should have discussed here first, but we missed our last meetings. Now this one's already in action. It's already moving,
Oh,
but I could still stop that.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It probably won't be cut and dried until November.
Yeah, just until you have it all figured out.
So if we're all in line on inspections once a year, which I assume the city's is pretty much says that, right? Or do they go into more detail than that?
The city says that we do 2 a year, right?
Currently, that's what our,
And you're, yeah. But
And the
you're,
proposal is to go to 1 with the exception of shared buildings.
yes. Yes,
So all the Main Street buildings would still be
twice.
twice.
right, 0 lot lines.
Well, and all the state mandated ones would be
Right.
twice.
Right.
Many of them, but there are-
So as far as the ordinances themselves, it looks like we're pretty much all in agreement. It's just going to be fee schedules or forfeitures. Because we're trying to match that. Because we've got one source of inspection,
Well, and I like the idea of
different municipalities.
attaching some kind of fee to re-inspections, because then it motivates them to get it done.
Right. Otherwise, you're wasting your time and effort. And inspections,
Because literally, we
that's
could,
why I put the $100 inspection on there, because you already told us how expensive it was to send those guys out.
Right, so that's for
And
the
train them.
third, that's for the third time, it's $100, right? The only thing when I listen to you read that, it says if it continues after the second inspection, it's $50 per day. But that probably shouldn't start until the third inspection. I mean, you're not gonna probably come back a day later for the third inspection, right?
no,
I mean, at the
we
second.
don't have any minimum number of days, but we, depending on what needs to be inspected again. We could go every 2 weeks.
I mean, you guys are reasonable. If,
Yeah.
hey, you need to replace this box or whatever, and you get 30 days to do it or something. But the way when you read that, the way I understood that, the fine starts when you fail the second inspection.
That's the way that I understand. That's the way that
You
I.
might want to push that out or make it optional that you could imply the $50 per day. I wouldn't want to have it automatically,
I think after a
Still
second
trying-
inspection, they should be able to have it corrected. And if not, it would be noted by the inspector. I mean, if it's something structural, obviously,
Well, and if they're just blatantly not gonna do it, then you can slap on that $50 a day thing, but that should maybe be optional somehow.
or reviewable.
I
I
know.
don't necessarily want to put that option on the
Yeah.
fire inspectors, because some of them are young, and I don't want them to have to say, all right, well, we're
They
gonna start
already got
fining
the
you.
option on the allotted time.
Right.
Well, I don't know how you'd enforce that anyway. What court are you gonna take it to, or who's going to slap the fine on them? I mean, hopefully they read this and you hand them the sheet that says that they're gonna be fined and they take care of it.
How do you enforce any of your other ordinance violations?
Attached to their tax roll.
Or should there be an agreement with the municipal court?
Well, we don't have a municipal court anymore.
But we're a jurisdiction of the city, we could maybe do something
Well, as
like
the city
that,
can't enforce somebody else's ordinance.
unless you have an agreement with them.
So because right now our municipal court takes care of Amory and Patty's Clear Lake. Who else is municipal court?
Clayton,
Blackbrook.
Blackbrook.
So Lincoln could join on to.
I think they.
It's quicker than the county court
I
up there
think
in
they,
Juliet.
I think
Only
they
one touch
refused
it.
us.
They did.
Check into that, but I'm pretty sure that City of Amory refused us on municipal court because it was just too much.
Well, and I talked to Darcy about it years ago and he said they weren't interested at all. in doing that.
Expanding.
Well, we have new sheriffs in town, so I think it's worthwhile asking again.
Is that a possibility, you think?
Well, Blackbrook's just joining, so I would imagine so. That's like within the
And
last
Clayton
year.
just did too.
I think they were a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Somebody refused us, and I don't remember who it was, but they said they didn't have.
Actually, technically, I don't think Blackbrook's in yet. They haven't filed something, but they were supposed to. It's like brand new. They're supposed to join in.
I know the
Sounds
schools
like a-
run it through the court too and stuff with truancy, and it's the most expedient way to do it.
Oh, it's
Through
always
Polk County-
busy.
Through Polk County's court or through the city's court?
Through the city court.
Yeah.
It's always busy every other Wednesday.
So Ben, maybe take a note. We figure out.
I'll ask Deb. See if She'll
Well,
remember.
the thing about it is though, if the town's gonna sign on for the municipal court, this isn't ever gonna come up. I mean, it might be once a year or something, but you're gonna have, dog violations and whatever
Oh, yeah.
else. Junk car violations or whatever your ordinances say.
Most common, is their dog violation. That's ended up going to county court, circuit court, which.
Off topic here, but you do have one where junk violation in cars. What's
So
up
the
with one
county,
on
the county has, no, he gets around it. Every one of those cars is registered. You believe that?
Oh, really?
That's how he gets around it. Pays thousands of dollars a year to do that.
We're
Really?
changing our ordinance here. We're gonna try to. The police chief came in and said he wants it put down if it doesn't move for 10 days. That's a junk car because we have similar situations where the guy licenses it and uses it as storage.
Well, the county ordinance says it has to either have a current license.
Yeah.
You can have one non-running vehicle, running vehicle means not moving batteries, not jump starting. You get in and you can have one non-running vehicle. But you can have non-running vehicles if they're licensed and registered.
Spends all day at the DMV.
Well, the problem is, if they're 20 years old, all they need is a collector's plate, so that's $20 one time, and
Then they can sit there, yeah.
Patty, do you have? Fee set up for that ordinance, for your older ordinance, your existing one?
For the schedule of fees,
Yeah.
you mean for fire inspections?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get on the drive to look at it.
Yeah, we
Oh.
can.
I don't.
There it
is.
There is that, yeah.
I don't remember seeing it. I don't think there's.
No, I don't think there is. It could be
But it could
added
be added
without
just like
too
that.
much difficulty.
Yeah, just come up with a consensus and we can add that to our
I
schedule.
think it sounds. $150 a day does sound egregious, but. And like I said, when you read it, if it doesn't pass the second inspection, it's $100 and it's $50 every day after that. That's the way that I heard it.
And you pay for
And
the
then-
third inspection.
And then
Yeah.
add,
And then they'll want that third inspection as soon as they can get it, because they don't want to pay the $50.
do you?
It would
want me to
motivate,
add that so
but if
it's
you
on
think
the-
it's too harsh,
I don't know how often it's gonna come up. I mean, you could tell us that, are there people that just blatantly just refuse to?
Well, and you understand that not every violation is a referable violation. This would be life safety violations. This would mean that it is serious violation that causes life safety issues. We don't, if there's a fire extinguisher not labeled or something, that wouldn't fall underneath this. I mean, this would be blocked
So
hallways,
let's fix that.
exits that are bolted, like the bittersweet was here, bolted from the outside with padlocks on, stuff like that. So,
Yeah, Ben got on, so I think we'll fix it now and then we'll give you all a copy.
I'm gonna have to look at the chapter and everything, but they won't take very long to fix it. Like,
the comment.
2 seconds.
The thought I was just having two in here. Do we need to define officer? Is that the same language in the state where officer is anybody appointed by the chief? Or does that mean an officer of my department?
Fire inspector pursuant. The fire chief or any officer of the fire department designated by the fire chief.
Because I have people that are not officers doing fire inspections. Matter of fact, I got
So
two,
change the officer to
member,
member.
right, appointed by the chief.
Yeah.
I think that's where the state reads.
So fire chief or any member appointed of the fire, just designated.
Yeah, I think it refers it in chapter 3 there too.
So,
Well, there it says member of the department.
so we will say
Or-
officers or members.
Yeah, there it says
So we'll
by
say
officer
officers.
or member.
Of any officers or
So
member,
maybe just
Yep.
say that the same up on top.
or member.
well, if you read ours then proposed. I think it's.
So in this proposal, Patty, or this document, this still says that it is every 6 months, but we.
I just
We were
fixed
just
that.
fixing
I
that.
just
Oh,
fixed
okay,
that.
okay.
Yeah, I changed, excuse me.
You
Changed
got the
it.
same language here. Fire chief
12
or
months.
any office.
And I'm
fire
also gonna
department
add,
chief. Should be
The
fire chief,
adjoining Main
comma,
Street,
officer,
no,
or
lot
member.
lines are every 6 months,
So
and those required by the state, those facilities.
Yeah.
So I'll add that into
Because I
there as
have
well.
fire twos and I even have a fire one doing inspections.
Okay,
According to state law, as fire chief, I can obviously appoint a fire inspector.
Mhm.
We do have 2 certified fire inspectors on the fire department. And I do have a checklist of all inspectors follows the same process. So even though I appoint a fire 2 or a fire 1, they should be checking the same things we do. And then when they have questions, they'll give me a call and say, all right, I found this, where does it fit in the ordinance, not ordinance, but into the state law.
Yeah.
So it's been working pretty good that way. I just need to get some more guys to doing it, so.
okay,
So we'll make those changes for committee of the whole.
Well, yeah, we'll want to see what the response
And
is.
timetable wise, it would be nice to have everybody done by the end of the year, so I can claim that we're only doing one this year. So,
The only thing is with an ordinance, you need a public hearing, you know. I think what I'm hoping to do, and I was hoping to get it by the end of the year, but it may be the first part of next year, but we got about 5 of them that we want to update at once, you know, and it's fee schedule on some things and burning ordinance, this one, there's 4 or 5 of them. So I don't know. But if we have to do a couple at a time, I guess we do that too.
so the burning ordinance too, that might be something you guys really too. We do have an online burning permit system. I don't know if I've been clear with everybody about that, but there is a checkbox for the different townships. Encourage your folks to use it because with all the drive-by reports of fires now, they don't bother stopping. They just call and say, hey, there's a fire here. And then we show up to find out somebody burning. It's a pretty easy system to use. Once you log in the first time, I think it saves your data. So you just log in again, put in the data in.
It sends an email to you then, right?
Yes, and that's the nice thing. So they're required to call the county so we don't accidentally get paged. And it automatically sends emails to us.
So we were looking into that and I think it'll send it to the one fire department. So I mean, 86% of ours is covered by allied somehow. So ours would go to them. I
Okay.
believe, but if it's in your area, I guess, I don't know how that would work.
Well, I wonder on our end if we could just add allied chief to the same list when I get reported. He'd get all ours, I'd get all his, but
Okay,
as long as somebody's notified, we don't end up going to it.
yeah. Well, and any, you know, we're required to issue burning permits too. It's a state law. We never have, and we don't have an ordinance to do it. You
Well,
know,
and this electronically does it. So if you meet the check boxes and you sign the thing on the bottom, you self-certify.
who's doing it?
It's through the
Something you
DNR
guys
site.
set up.
It's a-
It's on
it's-
our
It was
website.
Darcy set it up.
It's a copy of the DNR. You can
Yeah.
go on and do a DNR permit or whatever,
Right.
a report. I don't know.
You can link it to that.
Lately, I don't even know how Town of Lincoln's been doing it.
You guys issue your own once in a while. That's where
I
we
know,
run into
Jay-
some trouble.
Jay's been doing that.
See, we don't issue them at all. They call me and I say, call the county. And what fire, you know, I figure out usually which fire department they're in, but call county dispatch, tell them what you're doing, give them your address, give them your cell phone number. And you're responsible for it if it gets out of control. That's about
And
it.
that's basically what our website says, but then there's a checkbox. You gotta check the DNR, burn ban, map.
Well, and that's what we're legally supposed to do is actually issue a permit where they check something saying that they've read and followed the rules, you know?
So I know somebody must be authored to that thing, and I don't even know where it's embedded in our system.
It's a
It's
great
still
question.
active, I get them.
Our website is so layered, you can't find anything on there. We can have Taylor start looking into it, but she's.
Well, when you go to our website, it's under requests,
Yeah, I know where to find it on the
but
front.
I don't know how
It's
you
the back
author
end
it
where
for
you
the
have to
back
fix
end,
it.
yeah. And then somewhere on there's a automatic dial-up for me. I get an email about it.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we couldn't add the other chiefs.
I'm sure we could. Interesting to
And
see
then
if
we could
find
add that link, you know, the same sort of link onto our website.
Right. Right.
And might clean it up. And do it for- do it.
Well, you are on ours because I have a checkbox for us.
Oh, yeah, that mean, when this thing,
Does it ask what municipality you're in? Well, that's great. I guess I didn't notice that part of it.
well, it seems to me that when we first got our burning ordinance out there, that they were issued by the city.
They could come in here and get a written one. I think.
Right.
There's a sign on the front door that says all our burning permits are now located on this website.
Okay.
It's like that. I can probably
You
go
can
grab it.
pull up the website.
So really, it's active and all you guys would have to do is publish it saying, burning permits are gonna be electronic now.
But we still have to pass the ordinance part of it.
For now, you can direct them to.
Well, we
Get-
get,
Well, I kinda, that's.
You know
we have
what?
in mind.
Get on the website, try it. You don't call the county, but just fill it out and you guys sign it and I'll know it's a test from you if you want to try it out and see what it's like. Just get on there and make your own burn permit and we can have some feedback next meeting. We'll talk about it. If that's something you guys want to activate, that's fine. There are some people that make one out like once a week.
It should be, we
So
were hoping
we-
that ours would be like annual. You do it once that you've read this and you understand it. And, and if you are burning, then you call dispatch. You
I
shouldn't
am
have to do that.
Trying to remember, but I think you're allowed to put in a range of dates.
Okay.
So
The
it's not a
problem,
hit or
the problem
miss.
with that is you don't know that tomorrow might not be,
And I encourage people to put down 5 days where you're doing it. But then the day you call county should be the day you burn it.
right.
I'll get a copy of that. And I'll read it over later again and see if I got any recommendations for you.
Okay.
I just skipped it quick. So.
So we're gonna let the fee schedule and whatnot sit for now, or what do you want to do there?
I guess I would recommend that that's what we all adopt. But I think we need clarification whether it's after the second one or the third. Like I said, when you read it, I understood that to be $100 at the second inspection if it
And then
doesn't pass.
afterwards.
And then
how often
$50.
is this gonna come up, Dale?
Right.
We have
If it
about
doesn't pass.
3 chronic ones right now in the city.
Well, if you have a fee structure, it probably won't be chronic anymore.
Right.
No, exactly.
That's why we're,
Most of them, I'll tell them, hey, once I write it on my paper, if you have an issue and you have a fire or any issue, your insurance company is going to request this document immediately.
Well, yeah, and what about if somebody were to get injured
Right.
or die? I mean, you can be liable.
So
You
that
know-
works
you know
for
an attorney's gonna look for it.
99.5% of them. But we have 3 or 4 that are just chronic about it and they don't want to do it. But something like this, I think would do it.
Well,
Maybe you leave it as it is. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be enforced if you're, if a person's trying or something.
that's just what I was gonna say. I guess
Put in an appeal process in.
Well, any rule or law is subject to enforcement. Just because a person, let's say they failed the second one, but they tried or something, or they're making somewhat of an effort. You don't necessarily have to slap that fine on, I wouldn't think.
That's where I'm looking for direction because the easier we make it for my guys, I don't want to put our guys in the position where they have to make that decision. It would have to be the municipality or the ordinance that does that. Cut and dry.
I think the reinspection fee. I don't have a lot of heartburn over the reinspection fee of $100. That's still $50 a day where we should allow some latitude. And maybe that's a decision that you make whether there's latitude. But again, that's only for those chronic, well, those life safety issues, right? I mean, those are the only ones that,
Right, and I can create out of our inspection form, I could create the items that would qualify for that fine.
If
I'll
we
list
just
them.
dropped out the $50 a day and left the $100 inspection in there. I mean, you failed the inspection after your allotted amount of time. The inspector says, I'm coming back in 10 days.
Costs
Another
another $100.
Yeah.
Another 100 and another 100. Maybe we just say the hell with the $50 and just
it,
keep that. in the
well, it takes the pressure off of the fire department or the inspectors to get back out there. Because they're gonna want, the second it's done, get out here and check it, you know?
Yeah, that's the bad part about that 50-day thing, or $50 per day, that, like you say, the person is gonna probably correct it as quick as possible, then they want you back tomorrow,
Right,
and, you know,
or they aren't paying that because it was our delay.
yeah, it was fixed and you weren't here.
So that's a possibility too. I'm okay with it. If you want to just do the $100 inspection fee, and then the inspector would say, you know, every 2 weeks I'm inspecting. Sooner you get it done, the less it's gonna cost you.
We can always amend it at some future point if it's a problem.
It sounds like drop the $50 a day out
Right.
and the inspection fee kicks in on the second
Second.
the second failed inspection.
Exactly.
I know
Some, the
some,
allotted time is still discretion of the inspector. Because each violation is gonna be different.
I know a couple departments are doing graduated scale. The first inspection is 50, the first two are 50. After that, it bumps up to 100. That would be a motivator too. We could certainly try it this way.
Like, just
Hopefully it takes care of it.
Yeah.
set amount.
Keep this one pretty simple. You think we need a motion on that?
Yes,
I'll make a motion to
Direction, right?
set the, we're talking about specifically the fee, right? Setting the fee of $100 on the second failed inspection
And beyond.
and beyond. Yeah.
So,
each
so for
subsequent.
third and
For subsequent.
subsequent inspections.
so they failed the second and they failed the third. It's $100.
I think that'll work.
Subsequent, that's a good.
Yeah, so it's $100 for the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, every time.
Whatever.
$100 for the
So it's
second.
corrected.
So $100 for the second, the third, the fourth.
Oh, at the second.
At the second,
Okay.
if it's.
If they don't.
If it
pass.
fails.
If it's failed, yeah.
So if you went
I
there
like
and
that
inspected
idea.
it,
And
the first time you
$100
found
subsequent
a
thereafter.
violation.
So
Then
even
it's
if the
fine.
second inspection costs you $200.
And look-
Second inspection, if it's corrected, it's still free. If it's not corrected, that's when the fine.
Yeah,
But
you're
if you-
right, you're right. I mean, that's fine though, right?
Yeah, you fail a second inspection, it's $200 because you pay for the second inspection and then the third one, right?
Speaking of seconds, I'll
Well,
second
you
the
will,
motion.
yeah, when we go.
Yeah.
So then, how are we doing this?
All in favor?
No, I have a motion.
He made the motion. It's, I second
And
it.
he seconded.
All in favor?
Okay,
Opposed? So moved.
paper trail, how do we bill this?
It'll be in the minutes here, it should be fine, shouldn't it?
No, I mean, how do I bill it?
Oh,
Oh, you send them a bill. If they don't pay, it goes in their taxes.
We don't send bills.
you'll have
You have to
to.
let us, you have to let the city know, or the townships.
Okay.
Well, I might change that.
Yeah, you'll have to let our clerk know then, I suppose, if there's somebody.
That's the way I prefer to do it. I don't want to get into the billing thing, then we gotta get
No.
receipt books. and-
No, that, just let them know and then they set up for paying invoice or sending out invoices.
We finalized that deposits shall be made in cash, money order, or certified check to the town treasurer, who shall provide a receipt therefor. In other words, we loaded up that we're collecting it.
Sure.
There shouldn't be a problem with that, who collects it, is there? As long as our,
Who's billing it?
as
I
long as
wanna
our,
know how we wanna.
Well, the
bill it.
question on that is, if you're collecting it, then you're forwarding it to the fire
It
department.
doesn't need to be forwarded. I'm not after the money. It just.
Well, but you should, because you gotta pay your guys to go out there and do it.
right,
True,
it should go
true.
right back to the fire budget, you know. the
Yeah, that's the way we would do it.
fund.
It would go back into your budget.
The only thing is that can you collect money on our ordinance?
No,
You'd have to
no,
collect
that's,
and
that's you.
transfer it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was thinking is we have to collect it and then transfer it. I don't think that's a big deal at all.
No.
For the little it's gonna happen.
I mean, it's, you do it with the 2%.
We're just gonna have to spell it out, so in 3 years when it happens, we got new clerks and new board members and
Yeah.
everything else.
Sure, that's why we put things in writing, I guess.
Exactly. Okay.
Um. I suppose you weren't able to call up that fancy little chart we used, yeah, that one, is that in here?
Yep. That's not on the drive.
That's from some other world, huh?
That is on my personal desktop.
From our budget.
It's backed up on the
Oh,
drive,
okay,
but
good.
I can access it on my desktop.
Yeah, we have it in our budget file.
So the numbers that you put in for my 2022, did they reflect the things that I
They
sent you
do.
over?
They do reflect the letter here with the different pieces of equipment that you were looking for. Actually, the salary schedule you set up by 4,000, I already had it higher than that. Had it up by 8,000, so I just left that. 'Cause I figured with the
Well, and
additional
we'll talk salary
inspections.
separate, I think, we'll just do the budget things quick. There's a few items that we're in need of that are gonna impact a few line items, so. I'm gonna go through them. In the account line 52210-345 firefighter equipment. We will be adding battery powered extrication tool. And this will be on our new squad, transferable to engine 2. We found ourselves going to a Mavis call about 3 weeks ago. We ended up in Hudson. And we were manning their station, and when we do a Mavis interchange call like that, and we backfill their station, we need to be able to do traffic accidents on the freeway and stuff. And we found out we didn't have a tool on engine 2. So we wanted to, and we have tried them out. We've tried out some of the battery powered tools. So we don't want to do a whole set of tools. We're just doing one cutter spreader, a combo tool. So that 11,900 was added to that line. The 4-gas meter we only have one 4-gas meter, and the sensors are starting to fail. So when the sensor goes out on it, there's 4 filters in there that have to be, well, you know, the gas meter. They're pretty sensitive. The CO2 filter keeps getting clogged, and then we have to send it in, and we're without a backup. So the 4-gas meter is a backup to the one we have. We would keep the one we have. And then the thermal camera, we also only have one thermal camera. So it is, no, I didn't buy it, so it has to be over 7 years old. And I'm thinking it's time to replace and or add, so we got one in each truck for Mavis calls.
Rick bought that.
Yeah.
Well,
So I'm not buying the big one that we have on our engine 1. We're buying a medium sized one for $53.45. And then we're adding that chainsaw. And I'm hoping to do that in this year's budget, so that might not even be on the budget for next year. Then the cost of a new pump on our old brush truck. I found some inexpensive pumps that we can update the truck with. The engine on the pump we have currently just failed. It's not even working right now. So,
it's on a little brush truck.
yeah, it's a small. It was a hand-me-down, I think, twice, so it's been on 3 different trucks. So that was put underneath the brush 7. Then the rest is all proposed. Not, in my opinion, not needed, but I wanted to bring it forward because there are some nice things that we could add to our equipment. One battery-powered exhaust fan. When we looked at the power tool for extrication, We were talking about the fact that some of the departments have these really portable fans now, and they run on a battery, so if you have smoke in a outbuilding or something, we don't have to string cord from the trucks all the way back there. $1,200. And 4 new portable radios for our first responders for $8,000. And this piercing nozzle is a new technology with our high pressure unit. You can actually pierce into a wall and fill the space with the water, or it'll actually cut steel. And the real reason we'd like to see it is for grain bins. You can actually, with this piercing nozzle, cut the grain bin so you don't have any grinding or cutting going on with the grain bin dust. And it hooks right to our new truck. So that's ultra high pressure. It runs at 1350 PSI. All this piercing nozzle does is add silica sand, just like a sandblaster. It cuts right through steel. That's a pricey item. So
And that's not in these numbers.
no, I believe what
Yes, it is.
it is. All right.
That's H.
Okay.
It's in the bottom line, capital equipment 52210
Okay. Excellent.
I was gonna ask Dale, on that exhaust fan, do they make an air powered, or is there access to air, a compressor on a truck or something like that?
Yeah.
The one thing that we ran into a lot with the gas company was a house full of gas. And the first thing we want to do is bring on electric fans and start running electric fans. Well, you gotta,
I believe
gas
the
atmosphere.
new generation of our electric fans are intrinsically
They
safe for
sound-
spark.
okay,
Like we bought all new hand tools, brushless hand tools, so there's no sparks
Yep.
going on. So yes, that would be something I would definitely want to check.
I think bad about battery tools when the battery fuel
I know.
cost as much as the entire tool.
And I talked to this manufacturer of the stupid tool up here. I said, I know as well as anybody, even Milwaukee doesn't guarantee their batteries for more than like 5 to 10 years. And then they change designs. And she said, yeah, the tool, this $11,900 tool only guarantees the batteries for 10 years to get them. The batteries aren't guaranteed. They guarantee a fitting battery for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's an expensive tool for 10 years, but
It's a bad thing about battery tools.
For a tool that we would only use on Mavis calls?
no, it's on any accident. It'll be located on our second truck, so if we go to an accident, that tool will still be available.
If there's another accident.
Nice if that battery is the same one that ran some of your other things, but we wouldn't get that lucky.
Well, and I put it out there to the manufacturer of the tool to see if that's possible. A lot of them are doubling up on the battery powered tools now. So. Now, my opinion, this is our wish list, if you will. My opinion is we really should explore the battery powered extrication tool, the 4-gas meter, the thermal camera, and the pump. If I have to wait another year for the rest, I have to wait another year for the rest.
So the things that you added into the budget, you consider, we're doing it this year, and I think if it's necessary. The rest of these are not in the proposed budget, is what you're saying.
Next year's. He included them though, right?
Yeah,
So they are in
Everything's
this,
in the proposed budget right now.
It is.
so we would be taking it out.
Even these bottom ones, but then what accounts are like, say, F, yeah.
F, G, and H all come out of the bottom one here. That says 17,000 capital
Capital.
equipment.
Okay,
And the tool probably should be in capital too, but it is a direct firefighter tool, so I
So-
just suggested
so
putting it in
You
there.
can put it in either
You
one.
play with the categories.
Yep.
Now, in the last 2 or 3 years, we've been $30,000 to $40,000 under our budget. And I've always basically, I'm not a big spender at the end of the year just to spend money, but some of these things could be evaporated depending on how much budget I got left, $12,000 blacktop.
can I just say that the salaries, we've been talking about even like our road guys, one guy quit and, you know, had to go with the other one. And you can't hire anybody nowadays. I think you gotta bump the salaries. So I'm in for the 4,000. That's no problem. with me.
Yeah, I think in this budget, it reflects 8, right?
Yeah, actually, before I even got any of this documentation, I just threw an extra 8,000 on top because I assumed paying for fire inspection is gonna be a problem. So I just threw it on there months ago.
It sounds like paying for first responder call is a problem too.
So if we left it at, as I got it, you could potentially bump up the first responder calls to it.
I'm not trying to force these all on you. It's just, those are tools that,
Well-
you know, sooner or later, we'd like to see us implement, so.
I mean, I think the salaries, if you're gonna keep people,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to try to keep up somehow. And I mean, maybe things are gonna change. I don't know what's going on with this economy. It's gonna slow down at some point because of, you know, lack of merchandise and supply chain. It's a mess for us right now. It's gonna catch up to a lot of places. But right now, you can't hire anybody.
And for my firefighters are so busy just, you know, working 2 jobs that they can't take away from their job that where they're making $25 an hour to come do this job for as little as $11 an hour.
Right. We talked about this before, when I think we have to get the salaries up there a little bit better, but
And the inspection one helped. You recall, we did that with the inspections. We're all at a flat $18 an hour now because we felt like if you're doing the job of the inspector, you should be paid like the inspector. So that is not based on your rank at all. Can we hammer out the tools and then go and transition right into salaries? We can talk about salaries exclusively.
The 20-inch chainsaw was something that you didn't feel like that was absolutely necessary this year, or?
Like I said, I'm hoping to get that out of this year's budget yet. We have one, but after that tornado and stuff, we felt like we wanted a second one. So that could be optional.
Is that really how much chainsaws cost?
Yeah, they're expensive,
yeah.
especially a good one, and you want a good one.
Big heavy.
It's the one for the logging competition. He's out there just slicing through them like
Muffler
butter.
sticking out.
Yep, and they were,
Then the guys would probably use it a lot more. The radios, we can kick that can down the road. However, we're short on just the inexpensive radios. We do our first responders a little bit different than, let's say, Allied or Deer Park. Their first responders report to their fire station, take the truck out, then go to a call. So they always have radios. In Amory, it's always been tradition that we supply them with a full medical bag and the communication tool, a radio, so that they can work independently. They don't have to travel all the way back into town. That's why on our first responder calls, we have a very short, we beat 977 95% of the time. And I think it's a positive thing that we do that a lot of departments don't do. But communications has been an issue. We might look into, FirstNet on phones in lieu of radios. You can probably pay for everybody's FirstNet monthly subscription for less than $8,000. And I guess, as much as my guys want the piercing nozzle, we do have the tools we need right now to cut into drain vents.
Right,
And knowing that we got, truck,
water right there.
Yeah.
It's the way they've been doing it.
so I would be okay with withdrawing, our proposed $7,600 for the piercing nozzle, just keep it in the back of your mind for future proposals. Chainsaw, like I said, I'm hoping to get it this year. The 4 radios. I do have a couple wildland radios that we have in the pickup truck we could pull and give them to the first responders. I'm a pretty frugal guy. It makes me nervous when I raise budgets. So.
I don't know, I guess I look at the whole budget, if you only increase it by 5%.
That actually includes the police budget. This is our total public safety budget. This is, their fire would be going up by 19%.
19%, I'm, okay, I'm reading the wrong line.
So it goes up about 40 grand.
But we
Which
get-
again is including all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we scratched out the piercing nozzle, you're down almost 8 grand.
Probably what, about 14%.
15%.
I can make the 8,000 really stretch too, because if I do it right, I can write the grant through the DNR. It's matching funds, so I can actually get some decent radios for $8,000. I can get, you know, quality radios. And we haven't taken advantage of that grant for 2 years, so we should be able to qualify for that.
I'd rather do radios than through the phone. Because I
Too
know
hit
that
or miss, yeah.
there's places I don't know.
Sure.
So it sounds like we're taking out H, the piercing nozzle. And instead of that being up 4,000, that should be up 8,000 on I, right? Is that what you have in the budget?
That's just what I put in the budget
Okay,
as a preliminary number, yeah.
So it's already in there, though.
it's already in there, yeah.
Yes.
Just to reflect, make that reflect reality, I guess.
And that line item, we don't touch. I mean, if at the end of the year, if I need something like this chainsaw, I feel comfortable spending it out of the line items, even if we transfer funds from one or the other. But the salaries, I never do that way. Because I really want a hard number year to year what we're spending on salaries. So if we don't use it, it's there. We don't charge it. So that piercing nozzle you had in the capital equipment?
Correct.
And the part when we go into the discussions about salary, it's what impact the decisions on these numbers, how that impacts to that $8,000. So does it?
It's hard to predict what runs they're going out on, yeah.
Yeah. The first responder runs are the ones that will impact it the most, because we run 75% first responder runs. Thereabouts, don't hold me to that percentage, but it's probably around that 75%.
And if they get called out, do they automatically charge an hour
Yes.
or they round to someone?
No, we just felt like that should have been a motivator right from the start to prorate $8 an hour.
Right, well, that's why I was asking that. I would think that we would round it to an hour.
Sure. And you see, we actually have a pretty extensive salary schedule. Everybody's broken out. When you move one, you might make somebody else mad. That whole thing.
Or do you not have this many of it?
We do.
No, I'm saying, or
Oh,
do we
simplify
change
it?
it, simplify it, change it, and increase the values?
I thought at one time, even if we went first responders to $15 an hour, right? It isn't fair then to a captain that's already earning $15 an hour when we're bumping first responder pay $7 an hour. So if we're gonna do something with the first responder pay, I'd like to have it as a, what do you call it? School, when you get a master's degree, it would be additional certification type merit pay. So then we would keep a first responder pay. Let's say it's $8 now. If we bumped it to, I don't know, 12, that same $4 difference would be merit pay for anybody else on the salary schedule.
I'm gonna have to take off here, but so. Budget would be approved tonight, or is this a preliminary or next month? Is it a next month meeting?
We
Yeah.
can certainly change these later, but we got $8,000 to do that. So whatever we do here, we can go over the $8,000 with that.
I think we should get agreement on this budget here.
I think so too, because we're gonna start talking about city budget.
Yep.
in
No,
October.
that's why I'm asking. Is there an October meeting?
Yes, we have October meeting.
Okay.
October 6th. Is when we'll be talking about it.
You mean a meeting of the
I mean,
fire?
meeting of the fire, or will it be in October?
Oh, we should have one. I
That'll
think we
be
should.
Tuesday or whatever,
The 12th, I think it is.
12th.
This time of year, we better have one.
Yep. So you want to make a note of that October 12th next meeting?
5 PM here.
And then you have this, so, and come up with a cool scheme for me. Well, if you know of any ways, incentives, what you're doing with your workers or something, maybe we can build it into this.
I think that 12th would be the hard date because we meet with the auditor the 6th and then we present it to the council the first time. the
But this
following
is
week.
not part of the budget.
No, but it does.
That
impact the salary
8,000
line.
would be.
Yeah,
Well, we'll just have to figure out how our changes here don't impact or go above
Yeah,
the 8,
exactly.
right?
yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve the budget as stated, I guess, with the exception of removing the cost of the piercing nozzle.
Mhm.
The exact number, that's what.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right.
Okay.
Thank
see
you.
Keith.
See ya.
Don't go across Main Street, go out. Tar on Main Street.
See all those cars going across on the Stour Trail this weekend, or I don't know what day it was.
Well, yeah, they figured out that you can cross that.
Nick
trail.
Larson was out here yelling at people and I watched and I bet I saw 15 or 20 in the half an hour. And then he blacked it off, so he must have got hold of somebody in the city.
Road closed sign doesn't mean anything anymore. They hit all the culverts out at my place and the cars would come right up to the edge of the ditch that they dug. What the hell? We're not going anyplace.
Well, this contractor was bad in the beginning though, with the way they marked. They let too many ways around stuff. They should have just shut it off.
Shut it off, yeah.
So we just lost our quorum, so we
Yeah.
can't vote on
You
anything.
can't
Okay.
vote on anything.
Well, there's nothing else
But there
that's
really
up for
isn't.
voting, right?
Exactly.
Other than adjournment.
Just, yeah, because you did the capital equipment.
We're now held
So now we
hostage. You can't motion to adjourn.
Couldn't be here till October.
Yeah,
Somebody yell at Keith.
we never got a price tag on that area. did
No, they did not.
we? Just a mill. That's all we know generally.
Generally.
And we know that we're paying for that, we're a year out. But we also know it takes a year and a half to build one. minimum. So,
They face the same shortages.
right,
I can certainly get him hit. I mean, they're salesmen. They can answer all our questions. I can make them come to our meeting.
So I've thought a lot about this, about buying new versus buying old. And if we buy something that is, what is our typical, like we try to get something that's 15 years old or something already, that they're 10 years old, right? Say,
10 to 12.
I think we buy brand new and then sell it and get into that business of where,
On the
We're
front
selling.
end,
yeah, and so on the back end.
yeah.
then you're running the new stuff. You give the troubles to somebody else.
Especially when you start dividing that cost out amongst the 4 municipalities. I mean, it's not that the city is taking out $1 million, we're all taking out a portion of that. And
And our guys keep our trucks spotless. I mean, it would have resale value at that point.
I wouldn't be as concerned maybe with the tenders, but the other pieces of equipment are so complicated that I agree, it's gotta be new.
Well, if with your permission, I'll certainly, I can invite them. This meeting might be just salaries, right? But we can invite them in November, December and get the process going.
Well, wish Rick was here, but anyhow, the only way you can get the process going probably is you have to spec it. Like any fire truck, it's gotta be spec'd out. And you demand.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's big difference in specs between the heavy duty units we have right now versus that lightweight one, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
400,000.
So maybe what I'll do before we get going on this process is I'm gonna invite a few different manufacturers in with their ladders. Just so all of us can see it before we do specs. As much as I like that single axle, there's a few limitations that makes me nervous.
Yeah, true. But I sure would like to stick with Pierce, so.
And we got Rosenbauer in the backyard too. They've come along, they look quality. We've got Custom Fire that does a suction ladder. I have them scheduled to come in next month. So give me a couple months. We'll certainly invite you all to come see them like last time. I think I only called you last time, though, and Rick. But you guys are all welcome to come see these trucks when we bring them in. And we normally do it on a Monday night on our meeting night. So.
And for me,
Number one-
it's a truck and it's red. and
I know.
It's what-
That's my only requirement. It's gonna be red.
And it's,
See, there's a few things about Custom Fire I don't like, like right now, your rescue equipment, you didn't spec this truck. That was previous, your number one bumper.
Right.
I mean, that big extended bumper that's got all the rescue equipment in it actually broke away from the truck.
It fell off.
Broke away from the truck. How the hell can you do something like that?
Yeah, we had to take two ratchet straps and bring her back up so we could get her back. Although they took it in that night right away and fixed it.
Yeah, I see. there's-
Engineering is a little.
Then on your, the tender that was purchased from them, I see a little reaction evidently between stainless and carbon steel. It's bubbled right through the paint about that high.
But that's
Pierce doesn't miss that stuff.
true.
I mean, I can see, there's a couple of things I don't like about the old aerial ladder, like it's got the light duty transmission. Why would you do that? That's not much bigger than a 1-ton truck.
Which works good though.
Oh, well,
I don't have too many complaints about that Pierce ladder. Just age, but I like your ideas as far as why not be the front end instead of the back end and all that expensive stuff.
If it helps to keep and attract members. We had mentioned one other time when you got good equipment to people more apt to want to stay.
before we adjourn, did you make a comment that the 12th maybe doesn't work?
No, that would be the day that we meet.
And it's okay.
Yeah,
Calendars are.
So we're okay with the
and
12th?
then when are we meeting for budget after our meeting?
the next week after would be the 19th.
Yeah.
Would be when we present the budget to the council for the first time.
Okay.
So if we have
That we're good with, so.
it hammered out so we can present to the council, it should be in good shape.
I guess I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. All in favor? We're adjourned.
So the next fire meeting is on the 12th of the month.
Okay.
For-